Hey, this is Joe with MotorBiscuit, and I'm out here with the 2023 Toyota Supra. Now, I've driven a couple of Supras in the past, but this one's just a little bit different. Let's take a closer look. Now, the main difference between this 2023 model and the previous years is that it comes with a nice shifting manual transmission. Previous model years only came with a 6-speed automatic, which was good, but this is even better. So, setting out in the Toyota Supra here, first thing I notice is that it is very smooth for a nice road car. Of course, this would be a lot better on the track, but out here on this nice twisty canyon road, it's great. The shift action's very smooth, since that's kind of the highlight of this model year. My only gripe with the transmission is that even though it clicks into the gears pretty well, there's a bit of a rubbery feeling to it. So much so that I actually misshifted just once. But otherwise, it's great. The power band is amazing. Again, you don't really need that much power going through these tight, twisty roads like I'm doing right now. But on a racetrack or in a straightaway, that 382 horsepower is no joke. Now, in terms of fuel economy, I've been averaging about 20 miles per gallon during the week that I've had this thing, and that's pretty good. I mean, what can you expect out of a sports car, right? So, all in all, this is a great daily driver if you have to do it. Of course, there's only 2 seats, but trunk is decent, you get decent mileage, and it's a whole lot of fun. So who wouldn't want to drive this every day? Well, it's fun to drive the Supra on tight canyon roads and on the track. Let's face it, about 90% of the time, or 95% of the time, you're going to be driving on normal roads in stop and go traffic. So the question is, how does it do when driving normally? Well, the answer is the Supra drives just fine. You know, unlike crazy exotic cars that can be kind of stressful when driving, the cabin here is actually pretty quiet. Mostly what I hear when driving on the freeway and kind of bumpier roads is the road noise from the tires. Now, they are Michelin Super Sport tires, so they're pretty sticky, so you get to hear all the rocks and the fenders and things like that. But it's not that bad, plus it's a sports car, so what do you expect? Now, as far as driving it, steering effort's pretty good. Clutch is actually lighter than you think it is, so it's easy to modulate in stop and go traffic. And like I said, shifting is actually pretty nice. Another cool thing that the Supra does is that it rev matches your downshifts. What that means is it'll actually kick up the RPMs so that you're not jerking around when you have to slow down for a turn or you want a downshift to speed up. Now, this works really well for people who can't rev match their downshifts manually. I personally can, but to be honest, I'm not perfect at it, and I get pretty lazy, so this is actually a really cool feature. Looking under the hood of the Toyota Supra, whether you get the manual or the automatic, you do have a turbocharged 3-liter engine. This pushes out 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. It's good for 0 to 60 times in around the 4-second range. And you're looking at about 19 miles per gallon in the city, 27 on the highway. Now, one gripe enthusiasts have is the fact that the Supra has fake vents. But I think they're pretty cool, considering you can actually make them functional if you want. So, taking a closer look here at the Supra's interior, you have this nice steering wheel that's leather wrapped, although I wish it was a little bit thicker. And those familiar with BMW vehicles like the Z4, for example, you might notice that this interior looks pretty familiar. So it's the same BMW sourced infotainment system, which is actually 8.8 inches. It's also a touchscreen, but then you also get this handy knob here, which is nice when you're driving and you can't really fiddle around with the screen. It's actually pretty more intuitive than you think. Another thing here, you do have these presets, which I'm not sure if anyone actually uses, You have your dual zone auto climate control, and of course your manual transmission, which shifts pretty nicely. You also have your sport modes and your electronic parking brake. Also the wireless phone charger here. Looking over here, you have the digital instrument panel. And the cool thing is it actually shows you what gear you're in when you shift, which is actually more handy than you think it is. So my biggest gripe with the interior is that even though you do have a nice sunshade with a mirror, the only problem is it's stationary, which means that when the sun peers through the window here, which it usually does different times of the day, you can't move it over. So you get to drive with the sun in your face. But the good news is you do have a pretty wide angle view here. So when you have to look behind you and you're pulling out onto the street, it's actually really easy. Another cool thing about the Supra is that when you throw it into reverse, you have a clear rear view camera and front and rear parking sensors. Those are amazing when you have to back out of a space, because look, you don't have very much visibility back here. So checking out the rear end of the Toyota Supra, I personally think this is the best view, to be honest. Nice little ducktail looking rear end. Now, my only gripe here is that even though you have a decent sized trunk, which I'll show you in a second, is that you do have a button to open it on the driver's side door. The only other button is on the remote key fob. You don't have another button here, which can be annoying when your hands are full. But once it's open, you do have a decent amount of room. I was actually able to fit a carry-on suitcase, a backpack, and a duffel bag in here all at one time. So it's not bad. And that was our review of the 2023 Toyota Supra with the manual transmission. Now the question is, do you get the manual or the automatic? Well, I think even though you get less mileage with the manual, you do get a nice shifting action and the same power, and it costs the same. So in that case, this is probably worth it. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow us on our socials down below. And if you want to learn more about this car and all things automotive, check out MotorBiscuit.com.